Chief Sales and Marketing Officer with Perceptis. I'm here this afternoon with Steve Sachs, the CIO of Northern Virginia Community College. Good afternoon, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. Thanks for having us this afternoon. I know that there's been a lot going on at Northern Virginia Community College, and you've been doing some things with Perceptis, and we just want to talk about that a little bit this afternoon. I guess the first thing, just to kind of set the table a little bit, what got you to this point? What has been your process of ending up where you are working with Perceptis?
Well, we're a very large institution. We're the second largest community college in the United States, and we live in one of the high-tech environments throughout the country here in Fairfax County and Northern Virginia. And so that we really have to be at the top of our game to serve our students. It's what they expect and what they deserve. And so the days of help desk services, distance learning services only during business hours went away a long time ago. And so we had to find a way to be 24/7 on supporting those students. We've got more distance learning students than many colleges have students. And so for them, they're many times working weekends, nights, evenings. And in fact, many of our regular students, as we all did when we were students, are doing things late in the evening, getting ready for the next day's classes. If we don't have support for them, we're not doing our job the best that we can do. And so when we looked around at what would it cost us to staff and maintain help desk services at all those hours, it became obvious that was a commodity we could outsource rather than trying to operate ourselves.
So now you're at what stage are you at now in the process?
We've gone live with Perceptis taking calls from our students overnight and on weekends in a soft launch. We haven't made a big deal of it to work out any of the technical bugs and unexpected surprises or things we never thought about before we make a big splash, which we'll probably do in the next week or 10 days.
Very good. What are some of those surprises or things during the onboarding or implementation process to get up to kind of where you are right now? What are some things that came about maybe that you weren't expecting or that was a surprise to you?
Well, one of the biggest ones for me was that the technical handoff was a lot harder when it was time for Perceptis to start taking calls and then to transfer back to us, which sounds like an easy process. And I should know from past experience, there are always little glitches. Email the first night that doesn't go through because some checkbox on some setup on our end or some checkbox or some setup on Perceptis' end isn't quite right. And so till you're really live, you don't realize that there was something missed or something not there. Some of the questions, which we really never thought about, they're second nature to us. A new student who is signing up this time of year to take classes in the fall is looking for help signing on to their account. Well, we don't even create their account until closer to fall. We never thought to say that. So all of our knowledge articles and our training for Perceptis agents probably never had that particular scenario. We just didn't think about it. So here's how you get your password, and here's how you fix an account, here's how you look it up. We probably just, without thinking, yes, but for especially this time of year, you got a lot of future students, and the question would come up. And so it's the little things that were a surprise. The other thing is I've gone through the tickets the first week or 10 days. Some of the questions people ask that we never got before because we weren't here at night. And so unrelated to anything we would normally support. You know, people, we had one student, and again, we're a very international student body, but wanting to know about an I-20 for them to attend schools was calling to find out something overnight because in their time zone or in their world that was a reasonable time. Not something we would have been at the help desk prepared for because we don't typically take those calls, and we're the only ones answering phones in the middle of the night.
So now you're better able to serve that student that there's pent-up demand there that you might not have known.
That's correct. I'm a little surprised by I think in the first week or so, more than 200 calls that were not getting answered or because we were closed.
Yeah.
So when we say now, not all of them are good calls, you know, like that one really we don't have a good answer for. They're still going to have to call back during the day, but that's a lot more demand than we would have thought.
So Steve, talk to me a little bit about this decision to outsource, do you feel like you've lost any control or given up any control in making that decision?
No, in fact, one of the lessons that I've learned, and it's taken a long time, is that when you outsource or you contract, sometimes you actually get more control. Personnel policies, trying to deal with vacancies, often really you have little control over that, and as a result, you're always scrambling to fill in. The answers that Perceptis staff give are the answers that we've dictated, that we've put down in the knowledge base. If we have somebody that's not doing things the way that we like, we have an avenue to change that, and it's not a case of, gee, if I irritate that person, they're going to quit and then I have a vacancy. If somebody isn't doing a good job, I can say, I don't like that person, they're not doing a good job. The documentation is first class. That we get back, we can look at all the tickets, we can look at what was said, what was done, right there in front of us. And it's not that we don't have that data on our own staff, but it's no different. So I don't feel like we've lost control at all. In fact, if in some ways I think we've got more control, and I'm starting to hear a little bit of that from some of my managers, in that they feel like they've got more control, they've got an extra pair of hands and some extra professional staff to turn to for advice and to deal with things.
About how long did you take for your evaluation process, from the time you started till you made the selection and moved into implementation?
That's a good question. It probably, I think from when we first started talking about it in a very abstract way, in a high level way, it was probably a year. By the time we got serious and had the money in the budget and said, now let's see which way we want to go, probably somewhere 3 or 4 months.
So, Steve, in your opinion, does this end up costing you more money or saving you more money in the long run?
I think in the long run it's going to save us money. It's not something we couldn't have done on our own. It's something we wouldn't have done on our own. Here's what I mean by that. We're going to be able to look at the data, and because we really have to pay attention to how many calls and what does it cost us, we're going to look at patterns in it. And there'll be incentive for managers, not just within the technical staff, but college-wide, to look at business processes that are leading us to calls, and we're going to be able to quantify what does that cost us and what can we save if we fix it, or if we make it an easier process for students. Before, it was just a help desk technician taking a phone call who cared. Now we can actually say, this costs us money because we've gotten 20 phone calls on the same issue. Why don't we fix it once and for all? Or when there's an outage, we can actually point to what did that cost us in real dollars and cents, so we can say, if we put some real dollars into fixing it so that it doesn't happen, there's a real incentive. The other thing, by having another set of professional eyes, Perceptis staff that have looked at it, they're going to be able to offer us a wealth of very inexpensive consulting for how do we do jobs better so that students don't have to call, or staff don't have to call us, that they don't have the problem in the first place. And it's hard to put a dollar value on that, but it's, right now, we're left to our own devices and we're doing it the best we can, whereas someone else looking from outside that's seen it at a bunch of different institutions can very readily say, here's how several other similar institutions have dealt with this that made it a better place or eliminated the problem. That's pretty cheap consulting, and the ultimate goal is to help our students and our faculty and staff, and we're going to benefit a lot from that in ways that it's hard to put a dollar value on.